This video is sponsored by Skillshare.
Hybrid exercises are exercises that combine 2 or maybe 3 movements into a single repetition. Beyond that, you'd maybe be talking about a flow. These tend to be performed in a slightly more rhythmic and slower manner, whereas a hybrid exercise tends to be a little bit more explosive, performed almost as though it were just one single movement, just made up of more pieces. Hybrid exercises and flows are some of the very best ways you can train. We're going to talk about why that is in this video, and I'm going to be sharing some of my favourite examples that you can try yourself, as well as a few ideas for you to experiment with. So right away, one of the best advantages of a hybrid exercise is, of course, the simple fact that you're getting more bang for your buck. It's time efficient. Instead of doing 2 exercises separately and getting the benefits that way, you're going to do all of them in one go, and that way get more benefits in less time. And there are some trade-offs which we'll talk about as we go, but on the whole, it's just simply better value. So in case you're thinking this was going to be all weird exercises, it's really not. In fact, you're probably already familiar with a whole bunch of different hybrid exercises. A great example is the burpee. The burpee is a push-up combined with a squat jump, and that way you're getting the benefits of both to a large extent. The burpee is great because you can also combine it with a bunch of other exercises, as we'll see in a moment. I'm going to do a few here because it's really cold and wet. I need to build up some resilience, warm up a little bit, start to get a bit half wild. And a burpee is particularly fantastic for cardio, as are many hybrid exercises. And the reason is that you're alternating using your legs and then your upper body, which means that the blood needs to circulate all the way around the body. There's a kind of shunting effect going on where your heart has to drive the blood to the legs, drive it to the pecs and back down again. You're using more muscle to perform these exercises. They're truly compound, and therefore you're going to be burning a lot more calories, getting a lot more out of breath. As long as you're using good form, as long as you don't have any existing back issues, for example, there's no reason you can't do these for hundreds of repetitions, like they do in the military. They do it for a reason. An example of a move that's great to combine with the burpee, and something you see me do a lot on this channel, is the kick through.
If you watch this channel, there's a chance you're interested in self-development. In that case, you'll probably be interested in today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is a learning platform that offers thousands of classes and members from 150 different countries. The cool thing about Skillshare is that the classes are made by members of the community themselves. Experts in any field can share their knowledge with the audience, providing a huge amount of high quality information. Working on this channel, I need to wear many hats. I have to be a presenter, a coach, a videographer, an editor, a graphic designer, a marketer, a businessman, a web developer. Skillshare has helped me to learn and develop all of these skills and helped me to grow the channel to where it is today as a result. Right now I'm interested in developing my animation and 3D modeling further. A great series that's been helping me in that regard is Anyone Can Animate, Easy Animation for Social Media by Danny Casale. A great takeaway from this series is that animation doesn't need to be complicated. You can make something really simple using basic tools, and that's then a great entry point into the world of animation. Skillshare is completely ad-free with new premium classes added each week. The entire back catalogue can now also be viewed with Spanish, French, Portuguese and German subtitles. So if you're interested in levelling up your learning, then check out Skillshare using the link below. The first 1,000 people to use the link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. And now, on with the show.
So basically you're going to kick your leg underneath to one side, whilst doing a push-up. You're getting more rotation in there, and that's the reason I really like this, because rotating the core and building that transverse power is something that you don't get to do a lot of if you do purely bodyweight exercise. I think throwing in kicks can be a great way to do this actually, but for our purposes here, a great option is to include kick-throughs with your burpees, and that way get some rotation. You're training now in 2 different planes of motion at the same time doing one exercise. That's bang for your buck. There are many other reasons this is just good stuff as well. We're training in multiple planes here with multiple different movements, we're switching movements. This is just a much more complex exercise than just say doing push-ups or just squat jumps or even just kick-throughs. That means you need to pay more attention. It's more cognitively demanding. This makes it instantly more engaging, triggers the release of more neurotrophic factors that are going to encourage more brain plasticity. We need to train in a way that's engaging. It makes us more likely to do it. We keep things cognitively stimulating, not just taxing for the muscles, but for the brain as well. That's the best kind of training. At the same time, it requires more proprioception, and you're dealing with the momentum of your own body. In this way, you're almost turning your whole body into a kettlebell, as you have to not only position and contract the muscles, you also have to deal with things like the fact that you're moving forwards and you need to think about the next movement. It's just so much more dynamic, and that's how we use our strength in the real world. I mean, not like that specifically. Most of us don't have need to do like a kick through then a push up when we're going down the aisle at the supermarkets. But in terms of moving from one position to another out of sequence, not just repeating the same movement over and over again in a very predictable manner, yes, this is how we use our bodies. There are a ton of additional movements and exercises we can throw into the mix here. In particular, push-ups lend themselves really well to this sort of thing, because with a push-up, you can also do things like clapping push-ups, you can do things like lizard crawls, you can do things like even jumping up into a handstand if you're capable. All these different movements can be linked together. At this point, you're taking it beyond just a hybrid exercise, you're taking it beyond even a flow, because we're doing it in a more explosive manner, and we're doing it with creativity. We're not following a set routine. I like to dig from a pool of different exercises that I know target similar muscle groups, and I call these vector sets. They're far more expressive, and they can be a lot more fun, a lot more engaging, and still very challenging and taxing for the muscles. In terms of pull-ups, of course, this also applies to a pull-up bar. You can do any variation of pull-ups, whether it's a typewriter pull-up, a head banger, around the world, leg raises, pull-ups, chin-ups, clapping pull-ups. You see people like bar stars doing this, and it looks absolutely awesome. You don't have to go that far, just vary your pull-ups within a single set. Pick two and combine them to create a hybrid movement, or pick loads and make a vector set. And how do you get up there? You could even perform a burpee, jump up, grab the bar, and that way you can mingle your push-ups, your pull-ups, your squats, all into one seamless flow. Another great hybrid exercise that you might have already heard of and be familiar with is the muscle up. This is both a vertical pull and vertical push, great for core strength and a great party trick. Plus there are loads of variations and ways you can develop on it, whether it's with rings muscle up, etc. Just a great movement to incorporate. And then of course you can take it one step further by alternating between muscle ups and a bunch of other movements, whether you're doing presses at the top of the bar, whether you want to do clapping pull-ups in between reps, or some kind of other cool move. You can just experiment with it endlessly. In terms of squats, there's of course nothing to prevent you from switching between multiple bodyweight squat variations. I've talked about the benefits of a regular deep squat with your heels flat. I've talked about the benefits of squatting on the balls of your feet like a Hindu squat. Why not mix them up and get all those benefits? Whatever you fancy. Again, this is the way we actually use our bodies and our strength when we have to really use them in the real world. If you're playing a sport, you don't just perform a kick, a kick, a kick, a kick. You have to do a kick and then a sprint and then a dribble and a tackle. And there are studies to back up the fact that this works. It's called the interference principle. And in one study it was found that when training basketball or netball, for example, if you get people to just perform drills of, say, hoop shots or drills of dribbling, then they won't learn as quickly as if you mix those things up. If you mix things up, they might perform worse during the training session, but they then actually perform better out in the field. Another study found that baseball players, when provided with more variability in their training, they were then able to tap into this and perform better. As the researchers put it, they were better able to solve coordination challenges. Now you might be thinking at this point, you're just jumping around like a goofy idiot. That's not going to build any muscle. Well, first of all, muscle isn't always necessarily the main goal. If you're interested in dynamic performance and control and mobility, as we've talked about, this is actually one of the best ways to develop that. At the same time, it actually can build muscle. You just need to choose your exercises correctly. So a burpee is not particularly well suited to building strength, max strength, nor is it well suited to building hypertrophy, muscle gain. Obvious reason, because you're not spending long enough in either position. At the same time, you're already switching between the two. There's not much metabolic build-up. There's not enough cross-bridging because it's a kind of plyometric movement. However, if you choose exercises to string together that focus on the same or very similar muscle groups, then there's no reason that you can't build muscle using a more interesting and varied selection of exercises. Something I would like to point out is that I do these exercises in a very fast, explosive manner. I'm doing silly things like head springs and kip-ups and kick-throughs. You don't have to do all that stuff. Just combining a couple of exercises and performing them in a slow and more controlled manner with a full range of motion is also a really good way of doing this. So another one I really like, and it's in the protein performance system in quite a big way, is the renegade row. So if you've not done a renegade row before, what you're going to do is take two dumbbells, put them on the ground, roughly where you'd put your hands if you're doing push-ups, put your feet out behind you, a little bit wider apart than usual, and then you're just going to row the dumbbells up to you, like so. These are slightly light, and you can of course do push-ups in between because, well, why wouldn't you really? The renegade row is really an awesome movement, and especially if you throw that push-up in between reps there. That's because it's a horizontal push and a horizontal pull in a single exercise, and a lot of us don't get that many horizontal pulling movements in our exercise diet anyways, especially if you do primarily bodyweight stuff or just train with dumbbells. So this is a really great way to get that, and at the same time, when you're on just one arm, it's also anti-rotation because you've got to avoid your body twisting back down towards the ground. So again here, you're getting real bang for your buck with a single exercise. Another exercise where you start in a push-up position using dumbbells is the devil press. And here what you're basically doing is performing a push-up, holding dumbbells on the ground, giving you a greater range of motion. Then as though you're going to do a burpee, you jump up and then stand up, and you're going to press the weights overhead this time. This time you've once again got a push-up in there, but now you've also got an overhead press as well. So it's got a horizontal push and a vertical push, as well as a small amount of squatting. And if you want to take this even further, then you have the man maker, and the man maker combines the renegade row with the devil press. So you're going to perform a renegade row, jump up, and then press the weight overhead. And here you've got just so much stuff: anti-rotation, you've got a horizontal pull, a horizontal push, you've got an overhead push, all kinds of good stuff, and it'll really leave you exhausted pretty quickly as well. Kettlebells, of course, are pretty much made for this kind of exercise. There's loads of flows you can do with them. One of my favorite hybrid exercises using a kettlebell is the crossbody clean and press. You've seen me talk about it before. You're going to start with the kettlebell by one foot, then with the opposite arm, bend down, twisting, pick it up, and then you're going to get it into the racked position and then press it overhead. So this time you've not only got a slight hinge, a slight squat, but also an overhead press and a pull. And what this is going to teach you, among other things, is to pick things up off the ground whilst twisting, which is actually something we do an awful lot in the real world, but it's not represented that much within our usual training routines. So it's a great one to incorporate in there as well. Okay, so it's really raining now, so probably time I left, but if you enjoy this kind of training, then check out my ebook and training program, Super Functional Training 2.0. Also comes with over 2 hours of instructional video. That includes a whole bunch of these hybrid exercises, from the devil press and man makers and renegade rows to the crossbody clean and press, you name it. Not only that, but it also shows you another way to train with multiple different movements in a single set, that being the mechanical drop set. In fact, that's one of the cornerstones that the training program is built on. Either way, thank you so much for watching this one, guys. I really appreciate it. See you later. And bye for now.